That's not how consent works. If she consents to have sex with you, that doesn't mean she's consenting to have sex with someone else. And just because you perceive her to have loose boundaries doesn't mean that that is the green light for someone else to have sex with her. And I don't think that many people are aware of these allegations, which is why I'm talking about them. We're going to be talking about some sensitive and, I don't know, maybe getting canceled? Who knows? Anything goes in Riverboat Jack land. Are you finally burning the J.K. Rowling bridge? Yes, I've preserved it for so long. I like lighting things on fire. Hey, Metal Kitty Mom, hope you're having a good day. All right, so as some of you may recall, we're getting into this, okay? As some of you may recall, I was invited onto a show recently called Never Log Off, that is hosted by a man named Cole James Cash, or non-binary person by the name of Cole James Cash. And that show made me incredibly uncomfortable. And being autistic as I didn't really know how to navigate that uncomfortableness in the moment. And afterwards, afterwards I had some time to process it, and I was just like, you know what? I'm not gonna have more to do with Cole James Cash or Never Log Off. His co-hosts seemed fine. I had nothing against them, but the content of that show made me very uncomfortable. Okay, and that was the show where, like, multiple N-words were dropped in the clips that he was showing me, and in the clips he was showing me, like, a guy was, like, enacting, like, or like, describing in detail, like, revenge scenarios against, like, people in his chat. And yeah, made me real uncomfortable. And then he went on and he talked in detail about, like, his partner's gender. And, like, I don't know, there are a lot of ways in which, for example, I might be able to talk about these same topics in ways that aren't horribly uncomfortable, right? For example, like, he co-hosts that, or they co-host that show. I'm unsure about Cole James Cash's gender identity at this point in time, so I apologize about this. If there's any mix-up. And you have a show co-hosted by a number of women, trans women, who have transitioned and, like, are, a lot of them are sex workers, and, like, you can talk, you can ask them about, like, their experiences or my experience, like, with art, like, with, like, the body changes that happen with HRT, because there are body changes that happen with HRT, but that wasn't what the what the conversation turned into. It turned into a lot of pontificating, to my recollection, about how trans, like being attracted to trans people doesn't make you gay, and that's true. But that seemed to be a lot of the conversation, like a lot of it. And yeah. Anyway, at the time, I kind of laughed along with it, trying to, like, see if it was gonna go somewhere. I didn't really know what to expect from this show going into it. It was weird, deeply uncomfortable. But afterwards I was like, you know, I'm just gonna keep that private. It can be a private experience that I had that I was horribly uncomfortable, and I can just not have anything to do with Never Log Off. And for those of you unaware, Never Log Off actually got banned for that stream for presenting those clips with the N-word in it. And yeah, it was a whole mess. Okay, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna move on, not talk about it again. Except that I saw this come out today, and I'm just gonna read it out. This was shared by a former co-host of Never Log Off, who goes by Pilled on Twitter. And this is what she has to say. I didn't really know. I didn't really want to relitigate everything publicly, but I guess I'm kind of past that point now. Basically, I was a co-host on Cole's Twitch show for a few months last year in March 2022. I met up with Cole and Nia and another co-host from the show in Brooklyn. Cole was scheduled to do a DJ set at a bar, and we were staying in adjacent rooms in a hotel nearby. When I first met up with Cole and Nia, I very clearly stated I do not have sex outside of my relationship unless it's sex work. Anyway, I trusted him when he said he understood that. Later that night, before going to the bar, they offered me Molly, which I declined. We all went to the bar together, and I got drunk. My memory past that point is still kind of foggy, but apparently I ended up doing some of the Molly while I was already drunk, and apparently Cole and Nia tried to have a threesome with me, which I stopped when Cole forced himself inside of me and made me bleed. Both Cole and Nia claimed that I was okay with it, but I don't think I could have possibly consented anyway, given that I was drunk and on Molly. So, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, Cole claimed that he was on Keffel's podcast or podcast. God, I'm old. Stream. He also claimed to know Michael Brooks. He did a lot of name dropping throughout the show. And of course, it wouldn't be fair if I just showed that allegation was no, very, very bad. So here is another co-host of Never Log Off, and Cole James Cash's partner, Scarlet Star, giving her version of events. Okay, these claims are false and contradicted by Violet's own words in her DMs to me. Here's her recollection of the events in the days after it happened. Firstly, she says she stated she only had sex outside her relationship for content. We did discuss this when we showed her hotel. Okay. Here's Violet. The way I remember things, I told both of you that I don't have sex outside my relationship unless it's for content, which means there's paperwork involved in STI testing and whatnot. I remember starting to have chest pains after coming back from blanks and saying I didn't want to do Molly. We got ready and went to the club. I got a little drunk, decided to do Molly while we were back in the room, which I should not have done given my hesitation in the first place, but that's on me. I remember going back to the club, having some more drinks and smoking joints outside. I remember at some point telling you I was not interested in Cole at all. I also made that clear to him both on camera during the show and off camera. I remember giving you the green light at the club. I remember going back to the room and trying to get people to leave because I was up and horny. I remember starting stuff with you, and then I remember Cole suddenly being there and trying to push inside of me. I guess I remember him being on the other... let's see. There we go. I guess I remember him being on the other bed, but I guess I thought he went back to the room. Also, even if he did do Molly after his set, I don't think it would have kicked in by the time things went down. At no point do I remember him asking me if he could get involved. I remember going to the bathroom after you started asking me because I was bleeding, and I remember asking you to leave after I got out of the bathroom. Didn't really read over that, but hopefully it's coherent. Does that line up with your recollection of events? Corroborated some of the stuff like me giving mixed signals and stuff. Okay, So I'm a pause right there. Okay, I'm a pause right there. So this is, I think, remarkably consistent with the series of events that Violet presented in the post that she sent out today. Okay? Um, Scarlet seems to be presenting this as like, oh, well, she's lying. But like, even in this version of events, Violet only consented to having sex with Scarlet, not with Cole James Cash. So this doesn't line up, okay? Um, and we can continue here. During the discussion, Violet also told us we can still mess around though, and Cole makes a joke about the taste of. She pulls out her own for him to suck and asks him to. This is the first form of sexual contact that occurs. It's during daytime. Okay, we are all sober. That doesn't apply. Well, yeah, exactly. That is a consensual situation. And we're all sober. That doesn't apply any further consent, however. I think it's important detail in understanding what occurred. Violet is actually aggressive and intimate with me all night. She frames it as she doesn't remember taking Molly. However, her original recollection states that she wasn't very drunk and does remember wanting to take some. And what actually happened was that on her request, we went back to the hotel to take some. She had one beer at that point, as had I. She claims to have told me she was not interested in Cole. I rebuked this in a reply, as I strongly do not believe this conversation occurred. I would have remembered it. Furthermore, she states that she told him on and off camera she wasn't interested in him. This is simply not true. We do not have recordings of off-camera conversations, unfortunately. However, we do have clips of Violet flirting with Cole on stream, telling him she intends to edge him by rubbing her ass on him when she meets him IRL, and in a later stream offering him if he would like it. Those can be written off as bits. However, it's a contradiction nonetheless, and I can... So first of all, no, this isn't a contradiction at all. You know, like, do you guys remember the video on consent? Do you guys remember the video on consent with the tea and such? You know, someone can offer you tea, and then you don't necessarily want tea at the time, and then later they can offer you that same type of tea, and they might not be interested in the tea. You know, that's how consent works. Consent is not like, oh, you gave the green light, so therefore all future sex is fine. You know, that's just not the case. But let's continue on. Let's see. In her recent post, Violet frames it as if she was unaware of the threesome, yet here you can see her state that she wanted other friends of hers to leave so her and I could engage in intercourse, that she was horny, had given me the green light at the club, initiated sex with me, and that it was I who was fucking her when she began to bleed. In the replies to this, I also made it clear that Cole was not sober. He had consumed alcohol and Molly as well, and there are multiple witnesses who can attest to this fact. The reality is, Violet may have been the most sober person involved that night. Her claim that she was surprised by Cole's participation is in direct contradiction to my memory of the experience. She was a willing participant, as fully conscious of what she was doing as anyone else there. She even verbally expressed excitement throughout the encounter at multiple points, not only initiating sexual contact with Cole, but advancing things on her own. Understand that Violet regrets her decisions during that night. That does not mean they constitute sexual assault or rape. So, I'm gonna stop you right there. So, even if she was the most sober person there, if she consented to sex with one person, that does not mean she consented to sex with another person. Yeah, like this is the defense. This is like, oh no, there wasn't sexual assault or rape. She was asking for it. Except it doesn't seem like in any of these recollections she was at all. Moving on. I have been raped by a previous partner, and I take this very seriously. The accusation has had a tremendous impact on my mental health. Being raped was the most traumatic thing I've ever experienced, and for Violet to trivialize it like this is deeply hurtful and harmful to victims everywhere. I'm gonna stop you right there. I have loved ones who have been assaulted and raped in very similar ways to this. I don't think that this is trivializing it at all. This is a horrible defense that, to me, and you all can help me with my reading comprehension here, chat. But this seems to me like confirming that assault happened. Yeah, also, like, that's a good point, KBS. In the kink community, right? Even if you're a kinky motherfucker, if you are making someone bleed during sex, it's usually 99% of the time not the person who is bleeding's fault. No, One Hand Wonder, from what I can tell from both the recollection of Violet that is contemporaneous and the recollection of Violet that is from now, and Scarlet's recollection, Scarlet was the only one who was given consent to have sex with Violet. So I'm trying to go off what's here, but it doesn't look good. Okay? Okay. Let's see. Furthermore, she has chosen to use my old name, knowing full well that I've taken on an alias to protect my identity online due to my own involvement with sex work. Violet has chosen to make this a public discussion. Make no mistake, she's not reluctant, at least, to talk about this publicly. She didn't approach anyone to talk privately about this. She immediately blocked Keffels before posting this accusation. And just as some clarification, Violet posted this yesterday, saying, I don't really want to get involved in the Keffels stuff, but I will say it's interesting that she had a therapist on her show this week. Which, like, I don't see this as like a condemnation of Keffels. I was unaware of this allegation until today. And I don't think that many people are aware of these allegations, which is why I'm talking about them. But let's finish Scarlet's account defense of Cole, and we'll keep going here, okay? She didn't approach anyone to talk privately about this. I'm confused as to why, if Violet perceived that this man raped her, why would she approach the person she thought raped her? I'm not here to defend Keffels, but the point being, she's not seeking to reduce potential future harm. She's trying to capitalize on an opportunity to hurt a larger content creator. She was snubbed by it. Regardless of whether you believe Violet's claims, she should take this post down and use my current name. I know her real name too, and I'd never posted it intentionally, but to put her in danger like this, that's beyond unacceptable. This is like the only part of this where I'd be like, yeah, okay, like, yeah, maybe take down the allegation and put up like one with the corrected name. But, like, other than that, a lot of what Scarlet has to say here seems to me to just back up Violet's claims of being but we're not done. Cole James Cash has been on the defense all day, retweeting his partner posting clips of Violet offering Cole or sex on the show if he would like it.
Like, I mean, if it came to the like situation, Cole, I'd give you if you wanted it, but that's like,
again, this is not her consenting to him having. Here's another one. Violet stating she intends to rub on him when she sees him in person to intentionally edge him.
As I'm walking, that
Yeah.
would mean that you are going to intentionally impede me
Yeah.
and rub your against me.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
As I'm walking.
Okay. And like again, this is still not consenting to have with Cole James Cash. Here, we'll try another one. This one's a bit longer. Relatedly, on her earliest appearances on Log Off Already, Violet told us of a coworker of hers who she intended to have sex with for the sole purpose of breaking him up with his girlfriend. This is a topic that was revisited in later episodes multiple times. The idea that it rises to the level for us to have engaged in sexual intercourse with her because we knew her relationship boundaries beforehand, which she explicitly told me I was exempt from, is patently ridiculous in the face of her intentional attempts to get other people's relationships ruined. No, actually, that's not how consent works. If she consents to have sex with you, that doesn't mean she's consenting to have sex with someone else. And just because you perceive her to have loose boundaries doesn't mean that that is the green light for someone else to have sex with her. Like, I'm sorry, all of this defense that's happening and is being propagated by both Cole James Cash and his partner only to me reinforces that this assault did indeed happen. The reason I'm talking about this is because it seems like no one gives a shit about this allegation that emerged, and it made me really fucking mad. This is some of the stuff that tanked their old show. Yeah, maybe it should have stayed tanked.